There we are. Okay. I believe everything is working. Wonderful. What was I doing again? I don't entirely remember what I was doing with this, because I have their hats done out. And their outfits. Wait. That's the wrong thing. Probably follow along with this instead of the second sketch for that part. I think these are ready to be lined, though. Yeah, looks like it. Sick. How fun! My favorite part of drawing. Line art. That is a lie. It's not bad. It's not that it isn't fun. It's just not like my personal favorite part. Just because I find that I'm very picky with my lines. Which is... well, when you have something like this with a lot of lines in it, it makes things take exponentially longer. But that's alright. Always a good time to, you know, learn how to chill out a bit and be a little less strict with things. 40? No, this needs to be like way lower. Yeah, like 20, and then we'll drop this to 20 as well. There we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. Magical. I think the trickiest part with line art is like figuring out where to start. I shouldn't be zoomed in this much. That is not gonna help. It's like figuring out where to start to like get things moving, you know? Jesus. Organic shapes. Like with line art, it's a little different from like sketching, because sketching, like, you're gonna be a little more loose with it. You're planning things out. It doesn't really matter if things are like in the right place or not. But with line art, you're specifically trying to put things in the right place. So trying to figure out what order is the most efficient is not the easiest thing. Oh my god, I'm not used to aligning with pen pressure because I haven't done that yet. Because strikingly enough, ever since I ended up with a functional computer, I haven't finished a single art piece. I think, well, okay, I finished the one like little Hollow Knight thing, but that, I don't think that counts. Like finishing a piece with like a lot of like complicated-ish lines on PC, I have not done in a long time. Just been doing it on mobile, which has a sort of sense of like stability to it in a way when it comes to the lining just because of the way that I would go about it. So now I get to relearn. This has a stabilizer. What is weighted? That doesn't do anything. Okay. Stabilizer. Oh. Oh, this is garbage. Hang on a second. Delay. No, finish line, stabilize sensors, snap to assistance. What if we bring the delay down to like 5? Okay, that's a little better. I don't really like how it doesn't register the pen pressure at the start of the line, but, you know, what can you do? You know what, sure, that works, because we can just fill in the rest and use the lovely erase tool to fix any mistakes. I've been playing so much Rain World recently. It's been like the only thing I've properly thought about like 3 days. At this point, I think it is consuming my life. It's such a fun game though. For context, it's an environmental like simulation kind of thing, I guess. It's a survival game. You play as a little guy called a slug cat, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a mix between a cat and a slug. And you're essentially trying to survive in this world and, you know, like figure out what's going on and all that jazz. And like the enemies use like an AI system, the cool kind, not the cringe kind. To like pass their movements and how they react in the environment to things like the player or other enemies, because they're all just like creatures, so they fight each other too sometimes, which is really cool. Back to the stabilizer. Like, what was I saying? I'm very tired. I did not sleep much last night, and then I had to do stuff all day, so I'm a little bit eepy. But so it's a very fun game to play, and I think the most interesting part is there's a DLC for it called Rain World Downpour, which adds more playable characters that all have unique mechanics to them. Like the fun part about that is Downpour was originally called the More Slug Cats mod because it was a mod being made by a group of fans over like a long period of time. And nearing sort of the end of the mod's development, Video Cult, the people behind Rain World, like spoke to the mod creators and were like, "Hey, so what do you think about making this into an official Rain World product?" And they were like, "Hell yeah!" And so the More Slug Cats mod, they essentially the Video Cult team really didn't change much. They just wanted to tweak some dialogue and a couple ways that the storylines progressed or something, but it really wasn't that big of changes. And then it was, you know, renamed to Downpour and sold as an official product, and I think that's really cool. Because like the dedication that these modders put into it ended up being not only you know, paying off because the community really liked it. Well, some of the community. There's always discourse in any community that exists ever, especially online, but we don't worry about them. But like it was enjoyed enough, and like people liked it enough to have it end up in the real game, like as an official product of the game, and I think that's really cool. Regardless, Rain World, a very fun game, and on the topic of mods, I've been like thinking about some kind of mod concepts, kind of just like original story concepts for Rain World. To stick with the dramatic name system that a lot of people seem to be using, I've dubbed them Rain World Mist and Decay. Which Mist is essentially, I haven't really like thought about fleshing that one out too much, but it's taking the rain cycle, which is basically you have a limited amount of time, like in your playthrough, where you have to, you know, do all your things, get your food, and hibernate, in a place called a shelter, which is a safe zone, so that you don't get caught in the rain that happens at the end of your time cycle, which is, you know, indicated in the game's like UI. It indicates how much time you have left in the cycle, because when that cycle ends, the rain starts to come, and the rain it will kill you. You know, either you get pummeled by it in the open air, or you drown because it floods a room, that kind of thing. But like taking that, and instead of having the time cycle end when the rain comes, have it be that like, you know, clouds sort of descend and like mist starts coming in and fog, and that like instead of, you know, the rain like killing you relatively quickly, it's more of a slow process. You know, like if you spend too long in the mist, you'll start to drown because the air is full of too much, or the air is like has too much water in it. And like having a more heavy reliance on lanterns, similar to another character in Downpour, but instead of it being for staying warm reasons, it's for being able to see in the mist, because it would like obscure your vision. And I imagine it'd be like, it'd technically be a longer cycle just because you can survive in the mist for quite a while, but like cycle time, the actual like time between normal gameplay and when the mist would arrive might be similar to the Survivor, I think. I think that'd be a either Survivor or maybe Rivulet, because Rivulet has a shorter cycle, but I'd have to think about it. But a decent chunk of gameplay would be intended to be happening within the mist. You just have to be like a lot more careful with you know, your elevation and your management of light sources, and you know, not like letting enemies sneak up on you because you forego a lantern or something, that kind of thing. I think it'd be an interesting concept. It would definitely need like actual proper fleshing out, which I have not done. But you know, it's on the brain. And then Decay, an interesting one. I was actually seeing things recently about someone talking about like a sort of AU story they had, that they called Rot World, where actually I don't know if that's spoiler territory for the actual game, because when looking into their description of it, it seemed to be talking about something that was canonical in-game that they just edited, which I wouldn't know because I haven't gotten to that specific part of the game yet. But regardless, he was like a zombie. There isn't zombie virus stuff in the actual game. They like took I think they took a thing that exists in the actual game and then like screwed with it a bunch to make a sort of zombie virus story. And it's mostly influenced by the title, to be honest, what I was coming up with, Decay. But like I was thinking of things like rotting and decay and was like, hey, what if there was like a thing going around with like the plant life and the like food in the game in general, where it like instead of like a zombie virus, it's like any of the food sources start to dwindle because those are decaying and are like rotting from the inside out. And so you have to be like careful with what you're eating and find a way to either figure out if you know, what you're about to eat is rotten or if it's safe. Because if you consume something that is decaying, you yourself will begin to decay, that kind of thing. Or perhaps, and I was thinking maybe trying to implement like, I think it like as I have thought further about this, I think decay might be like an extension to a gardening-esque mod where you have like functions of being. Can I draw this line, please? Where you have functions of being able to like cultivate your own food, like being able to take things like the blue fruits and plant them to make more instead of having it just be a thing that exists environmentally. I don't know. It's just stuff that I'm thinking about in my silly little head. Sounds like it could be a fun time. I'd certainly have to do a lot more like fleshing out and editing of it before it even got close to being a genuine mod concept, because I'd need to not only consider the sort of artistic storytelling half, but the logistics of game mechanics. Which as an artiste and a storyteller, those do not come nearly as naturally to me. Having a lot of fun with the game in general, though. I was in someone else's stream, Ocarina Sheaf, who shows up in my chat from time to time. He's very cool. But I was talking about it in his chat, and I had like 4 separate paragraph messages about the game. I may be hyperfixating on it just like a little bit. It's a really good game though, so like who can blame me? On the topic of video games, I can't think of anything to talk about Splatoon-wise right now. I mean, I am excited for Side Order, but that's not coming out. When is that coming out? It's coming out in like 2024, right? I don't actually remember. I'll have to look it up. I'm really hoping that the DLC is actually good, because they kind of slacked off a bit with Inkopolis in the first part of the DLC package. It certainly exists, but I don't know. There was like a lot removed from it that were like the fun and interesting parts of Inkopolis, from what I've heard. I never played Splatoon 1, but I have friends who did, and they weren't exactly thrilled with it. But I think I am a little worried, because as much as like Octo Expansion was incredible, and we don't have the people who made that anymore, I'm pretty sure, because a lot of the dev team got disbanded to work on projects like Tears of the Kingdom, and we got all new people for Splatoon. Which I'm a bit confused why they didn't have the new people work on Tears of the Kingdom and leave the Splatoon devs alone, please. So the community kind of got set back to square one, where the devs don't really know what we want out of the game at all. And so they're sort of testing the waters in a game that is the third installment in the series. It's real interesting to watch this happen. So I'm a little nervous. Like, and considering the, like, Alterna, the general story mode of Splatoon 3, it wasn't bad. But I don't know. I mean, I liked it, but I know there were a lot of people who felt, like, dissatisfied with it, that it was kind of, like, meh. So, I don't know. I'm just hoping that side order is good. It looks pretty promising so far. An interesting concept with, like, the gameplay mechanics of the colored chips, and we get to hang out with Deadfish, which is cool. Love her. She's sick as hell. But you know, we'll have to wait and see. I already bought it, so it's not like I can go back on that. Just have to cross my fingers and hope it was worth the money. And then, because I also I have a friend who was, like, interested in it, but was gonna wait until Side Order came out, and she was able to know if it was any good or not before buying it, which, honestly, genius. So I cannot wait to have Side Order come out and me give her my humble opinion and hope that it's good for both of our sakes. Yeah, I definitely don't think I'll be able to finish this in time for the end of stream, but I think I'll probably continue working on it after, just to try and, like, get this over with. Because I have had so many work in progresses just, like, sitting around in my files for so long. I haven't posted anything on Instagram for fucking ages. Like, the closest thing that my followers have gotten to an actual meal from me was the Hollow Knight PNG, which I'm fond of. I think it looks nice, but I don't know. I don't know if that counts as feeding my followers, honestly, because it was just a little guy for a moment, which I do need to go back and edit that, actually, because I noticed at one point the perspective on the weapon when it's pointing up looked weird, and it has been bugging me for so long. But I haven't found the time to, like, fix it because I've been busy with other stuff. I should have more free time in the coming November, because my schedule is freeing up a little bit. I don't have nearly as much planned. Halloween season swamped me with stuff to do. But I'm a little freer now. I'll actually be able to A, stream the amount I planned to, and B, do it on the days I intended. Because so far I've had to cancel and move streams around like 3 times in the past 2 weeks, which, while on, like, not the largest or worst it could be, considering I only do 3 streams a week and I have just started this little endeavor, consistency and predictability are really important for starting to build a community, because if people know when to expect you to be streaming, they're more likely to show up, and they're more likely to hang out and chat and that kind of thing. And, you know, having that consistency means reliability, which again means people are more likely to show up because, you know, they're not left guessing, hey, is this person actually going to be streaming? Or, you know, have they canceled again or this or that? Which, yeah. So as like a very new streamer, it's good to try and keep that sort of consistency to get things, to get the ball rolling. The real fun will be when I'm finally not busy with so much stuff and will actually be able to dedicate more of the week to streaming. Because just with my current work schedule, I have way too many shifts going on to be able to like stream more than 3 times a week. But I'd quite like to change that at some point in the future. Also, my current work schedule has me getting up so early. I have to get up at like 7 in the morning, which isn't the worst to a lot of people, but considering my body's natural sleep time is go to bed at like 2 in the morning and wake up at 10, you know, a little bit of a discrepancy there. Just like slightly. Just a very small, minor difference. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm hoping I'll be able to get like some slightly different scheduling to be able to have things go a little more smoothly. I don't know, we'll have to see. We will have to see. Hello, hello! Welcome to Chat and Pasta. How's your day been so far? Your day's been fine? Ooh, taking a trip to Texas. Interesting. Good time of year to do it, I imagine. It's probably slightly less boiling hot as we're getting into the winter months. Yeah, at least up in the northern hemisphere. Ugh, I could never imagine going to a place like Texas. It sounds like a desert. Wondering about another full body request. Couldn't remember whether I want to see too. Oh, I'm not doing requests during today's stream. Sorry about that. We're just rendering pre-done work in progresses today because I need to get these finished so I can put something on my Instagram. I don't want to leave my followers hanging. Yeah, it'll probably be a bit till I do another request stream, but one will show up eventually. It's always fun to be able to, you know, get like prompts and draw some other things than I normally would come up with. Like I said, the next request drawing stream probably won't be for a while because I have a lot of work to catch up on that I've started and have not finished because I'm really bad at finishing things. I don't know. I might in the future if I end up with a few more people just so that like chat is rolling a little more. Maybe get like a queue going kind of thing, but that won't be for quite a bit. Now, if only this was a profile shot, because then I could copy paste it. That's one of the wonderful things about profile shots. They aren't easy to do necessarily. I mean, I think for me personally, the easiest like facial position is a 3/4 view. I can manage with a profile. The real difficult one though is a 3/4 from behind. That absolutely vile. I don't know how people do it. Being able to like draw the head from like 3/4 of the way behind, it is bizarre. But like with profile shots, you can at least like copy paste certain things that are able to be somewhat symmetrical to make it like a little easier to, you know, get stuff done, or at least like copy paste the sketch so that you have that like base work and can make it a little more natural looking in the line art. This is way too thick. Just undo that. There we go. I can't think of anything to ramble on about right now. I think I already went on a rant about Splatoon maps in a previous stream. I've been playing any other games recently? Ooh, Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact. I've been playing that again recently because I started it a while back on mobile, and I just finally stopped dallying and downloaded it on my computer so that I could play it more because it, my god, does Genshin Impact eat battery for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is a demanding game. And I usually, whenever I'd want to play it on my phone, would be when I was out and about and could not play it because it would kill my phone in like 2 seconds. So I hadn't really been able to like properly play it for a while, but I bit the bullet and I downloaded it and it is very, very fun. It's definitely odd getting used to the control scheme when I've played it on mobile since launch. Well, okay, I think I joined a little after launch, but like I've only ever played it on mobile, so playing it on PC has been strange. It is very fun though. I'm happy to be back in the world of Teyvat, with all the silly little guys that are in it. And I mean, I have plenty of content because I didn't really like, even back when I still played it relatively frequently, I hadn't progressed like until the end of the current content update. Like I never got that far. I still haven't left Mondstadt. So considering there's like 4 other regions available right now, I have so much to do. I don't think I'll ever get bored. uh and Honkai Star Rail too. I also got that on PC as well, because I did join that one at launch on phone, and it has been... I haven't played it on PC yet, but I'm excited to. It's very fun. And I want to bring Welt on an adventure. The poor man, he's so bored. Like, oh god, I forget her name. I haven't played this game in too long. The like person who runs the Star Rail, the train, in the game, which is like your main form of getting from, yeah, I guess level to level. I suppose that is what you would call it. She like told him to hang back from the most recent adventure because she wanted like the player character to, you know, get to know the 2 younger members of the group, people more around the player character's age kind of thing, because Welt is an old man. But he's so sad. He's terribly bored, and I feel so bad for him. I just want to take him with me on an adventure. He wants to go places and do things. Poor guy. Really though, I'm just waiting for the day that I get him in the gacha, because I am not willing to pay money for these gachas, because the moment I pay a single cent, I will give them too much money. So I have sworn off of it entirely. I will not be giving Hoyo any of my money, just for the sake of my own wallet. So I have to, you know, chug through the hard way and get characters through the storyline and just wait until I can get stuff for I hate lines so much. Just wait until I can like naturally get this stuff for the gambling of the gacha instead of paying real money for it. Yeah, I think things like that are what's keeping me stable financially, because like I am a somewhat stingy person-ish, kind of. If I can find a way around things, I would prefer to, rather than outright buy. Like, for example, Spotify Premium. I just, instead of, like, for getting rid of ads, buying Spotify Premium, I simply learned how to skip the ads and got really good at it, in the sense of I've gotten very quick and efficient at skipping Spotify ads, because you can. Like, especially if you're on, like, mobile with the app, it's really easy. You just exit out and then reopen really quickly, and then you press play again, and then the ad is gone. So it just skips over the ad, which I find relatively entertaining. Or like YouTube reloading videos really quickly. You can generally skip past ads if you're being given like really long ones. It's not often worth it with YouTube, because usually you'll get like either 5-second ads or ads that you can skip in 5 seconds, but YouTube likes to be a little brat sometimes and give you unskippable 15-minute ads or something. So, you know, just reloading the video once or twice and you're good. Or if I feel particularly impatient, I'll do it anyways, even if it's a skippable ad. And I mean, not like... What was I saying? God, I'm tired. I didn't sleep last night very well. So I am consistently losing trains of thought. They're going out the window. Bye-bye. Zooming away into the sunset. Oh no, circle. Oh. This is gonna be a problem. Let's do it down here, and then we can move and resize once we get a good circle. Okay. Circle is promising. I think we can work with that. That looks good. We're not going to worry about it being a little bit fuzzy because no one is realistically going to notice that since it's a tiny part of the image and it's not really the focal point. And of course we can also do this to obscure the fuzziness in some places. It looks good. Now the troublesome part is this, because it doesn't quite align with what I drew for the second sketch. And usually the point of the second sketch is to just completely make sure that when I'm doing the line art, it is a thinkless process. Head entirely empty. Just following along with what I already made when I was thinking, but cleaner. So having to, you know, actually change it in the line art stage is not usually what I do, but that's fine. We can work with it. As evidenced. Easy schmeezy. Not realize how difficult it would be to talk while doing line art. Because, like, I'm not as, like, how do I describe it? It's a lot easier to multitask when I'm doing something I'm very familiar with, like sketching, which I do all of the time. But with, like, line art, as much as it's somewhat head empty, it is also requiring more of my focus than something like just sketching would. So I'm in a weird sort of middle zone where I don't remember how to speak. Which is not ideal when I am a Mr. Streamer man doing a stream to entertain people. I think that's another one of the interesting things about streaming, is that it, in its own right, is sort of a specific skill, because it's a form of entertainment media. And it's sort of a process where you can, like, learn how to and teach yourself to be entertaining based off of the feedback from your viewers and what they enjoy watching, whether it be direct feedback they're giving you in chat or things like statistics. Like your statistical metrics from like Twitch's stream summaries, or just, you know, what you're able to pick up on with the changes in chat as streams go on. And I think that's intriguing because it's really interesting to, by proxy, while doing something, start to learn how to be entertaining. Because it's not something that you just, like, pick up either, you know. Because, you know, in the act of streaming, you can start the process, but you do have to, like, consciously try and figure it out. Which, you know, I just started, haven't quite gotten there yet, but it's a really interesting process to go through, to be like, huh, so that's how this kind of thing works. Or, you know, start learning the ways that you can keep an eye on what your audience is enjoying along with what you're enjoying, and how you can sort of mesh the two together to make everyone happy. Well, not everyone, that's not possible. The world does not work that way. A travesty, truly. But I'm glad that I started doing this, because, like, I've wanted to be in, like, entertainment business, freelance wise. I don't want to work for a company for quite a while. Be it like YouTube videos, or making music, or making art, or animations, or streaming. You know, being able to get the chance to bring a smile to people's faces and to have fun while doing it. As cheesy as all of that sounds. And I could have been, like, more nervous about it and, like, been hesitant to start, but within, like, a couple days after I was able to, well, not a couple days, but a little while after I was able to start streaming, I got sick of that and went, if I don't start now, when will I? And then got into it, and it's been fun so far. It's been a nice experience to be able to just, like, do this kind of thing and, like, properly register that, like, yeah, anyone can do this. Like, sure, you're not gonna have some massive audience on day one. You aren't gonna have very many people, if any at all, hanging out and stream with you, but I think that's an important part to the process, because it's teaching someone how to talk when no one is talking with them, which can be really useful in streaming. If there's, like, lulls or dead air, you don't really want to have that. You want to try and avoid that, because if someone joins to the sound of silence for, like, 2 minutes, they'll probably leave. So being able to like just talk and find things to talk about on a whim can be a very helpful skill in this in the sense of streaming, because it's, you know, you aren't always gonna have someone in chat to bounce off of, or if you're, you know, doing like art streams like me, I'm not always gonna have events in the game to, or like in a game to talk about, because I'm doing an art stream, so all that there is to discuss on screen is what I'm currently drawing. So being able to like come up with things to talk about, be it about what I'm currently drawing or any other random garbage, is a useful skill, and it also can come in handy in a lot of other situations. You know, things like public speaking, presentations, making friends, being able to like just start the conversation, start chatting about stuff is very useful when it comes to interacting with other people in real life as well. So I'm glad that I'm starting to build that skill ever so slightly, because it's really useful to me as a person who's not really good at that kind of thing. And I've never really tried to be good at it, because I'm not like a shy person or anything, but I am an introvert, which in the actual genuinely what the word means, which the definition is someone who loses energy from social interaction, because extroverts are people who gain energy or social battery from social interaction, and introverts are ones who lose it from social interaction. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone is shy or doesn't like hanging out with other people, but that they might need more time to recharge in between like big social events, because it can be draining to be around a lot of people too often. Or even a few people too often. It depends on the person and what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. So I always found like talking with people for a while to be like tiring. Not because the person tired me, but because people in general drain my social battery. So I never really tried to learn those kinds of skills too much. Like, I could hang out with people. I was fully capable of that. I could work in a conversation really well. Like, I think I'm fairly decent at bouncing off of other people in conversation. But I'm not really the person who, like, starts it. I am not the catalyst for the conversation. But I think being able to learn how to do that would be very useful to me. We'll have to see. Though. If it'll ever come in handy. Oh my god, this is the one thing I don't like about line art. Because I don't dislike line art, but it isn't my favorite, except for this one part of line art where you're redrawing the same exact line 77 different times because it just doesn't look right. It's sure a part of art. But I mean, hey, when it looks right, it looks right. And that's the fun part, is finally finishing it and then getting to, you know, zoom out and step back and be like, damn, bestie, I made that. We're not there yet, though, so... Back to zoomed in we go. I have learned recently how to be a little bit less precious with my lines, though, which has been very beneficial, because, like, I used to spend, like, 7 years on a line, and I'd, like, zoom in really close so I could get it perfect down to the exact pixel kind of thing, which in certain circumstances can be helpful, but usually it's really not doing much because people aren't going to see the image from this close up. Like, no one's going to be looking at this picture from this zoom level. They're going to be looking at it from, like, here. or from like here. Like, they're not gonna be able to see it. They won't know that every pixel is perfect. They're just gonna see the overall image. And wow, this line art is thin. I've committed now, I'm not going back. But so I've learned to be a little less of a perfectionist with my lines. Which has also sped up the process somewhat. Made doing line art a little less hellish, a little more fun. I am still very picky though. But it has allowed me to instead of taking something like that is like a perfectly viable line and going, oh, it doesn't do exactly what I want it to, undo it, try again. Instead, like slightly editing it so that it is doing what I want it to, instead of completely getting rid of it and doing it over again 60 million times. Which has been a very nice improvement to the workflow process. It is useful to zoom in really far sometimes, though, especially for something like this where you're trying to do like a small, like, sort of lip on a piece of clothing or something. It gives you more control if you're zoomed in because you're able to move slower without having like super wiggly lines instead of having to like do it fast-handed, which can make things a bit more difficult. We finish off the top of this. Now, this right here is what I call crafted cruelty. Crafted by who? Me. I did this to myself. This is like... It's always the most mundane things that end up being the most difficult. Like, obviously, you know, people struggle with things like the anatomy of hands, or anatomy in general, proportions, and perspective, and weird poses. And then once you, like, start getting better at those... You know, like, I'm not great at things like perspective, but I'm confident in my anatomy, and I'm confident in my ability to draw hands and like clothing folds and stuff. And so the thing that becomes difficult starts being the weird shit, like specific types of lines, like a very specific sort of curved line, or like an S-curve line at a like very specific like angle or degree of shift. Or like specific outfit choices. It's the stuff that you never really expect to be super difficult ends up being the super difficult part once you've gotten over the more obvious hard tasks. In simple terms, nothing ever becomes entirely easy. I think that's for a lot of things in life, but, you know, specific to art, it doesn't matter how good you get at one thing, there will always be another part of it that you have more to learn on. Yeah, no matter how good you get at perspective or hands or like your line art or your color theory, you're always gonna get that one thing sneaking up on you that you never expect to be difficult, and then suddenly you're spending 2 hours trying to figure out how to draw an elbow, and it's an experience, certainly. I've just been doing her clothes. Why have I not done her face? Because the face is daunting, that's why. We do her earrings really quickly. Okay. I think I go on an entire rant about learning, or about trying to learn how to talk when there's no one to talk to, or like without having to bounce off of other people, and then proceed to go silent for like 2 minutes. That's the thing with line art. I think, okay, as much as the main reason why I was worried that rendering wouldn't be entertaining was because I thought the actual visuals wouldn't be entertaining. I think the concern with rendering is that when I am rendering, I am too far into the technical part of the art process that I don't know how to interact with people anymore while I'm doing it. So it is less appealing to watch, because I think a lot of people often use art streams as like background banter. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Like sometimes I'll watch the art, but it's often that I'm watching for the streamer. That could entirely be me though. But like, just unless people are anticipating a mic off stream of just music, be it on Twitch or YouTube or wherever you're streaming, I think having like too long of silence can get a bit boring. So I don't know if I want to like render things on stream in the future, because this was a good test run to like see how it might go, but I don't know. I don't think I can consistently keep up with the entertainment value while rendering, because I get too distracted by trying to put the lines in the right place and forget to my playlist ended. I get too distracted trying to focus on putting the lines in the right place and stop focusing on saying things. Speaking of the thing I'm drawing right now, though, Splatoween ended, and my team won. Team Ghost was successful. I'm excited to see what the next Splatfest is, but mostly I'm excited that there's an extra work shift happening. Actually, I think it's already started now, because it's happening this weekend. And so extra work is basically, so there's a mode in Splatoon 3 called Salmon Run, which is sort of a wave survival type mode. And I find that to be my favorite part of playing Splatoon. I really like Salmon Run. And Extra Work is a version of that where instead of every single time you go into what, you know, like you go into a gameplay session of that mode, which is called a shift, like it'll be randomized every time. But Extra Work is where it's not randomized and you're able to sort of plan around it. It has 5 waves instead of 3. And if you know, it's the kind of thing where, like, if you perform similar enough actions every time, the waves themselves should be the same every time. So, you know, regardless, every single wave, like the type of wave it will always be the same. So whether it's just a normal wave or if it's a special event, wave will always stay the same between the 5 of them. And then your hazard level, which decides the difficulty of it, changes depending on how many of the objective points you get in each wave. So if you get the max amount of objective points, you can get the max amount of hazard level increase, and you're able to keep a lot of consistency and get a lot of those objective points, which gives you more rewards when the Extra Work ends. Because it's a time slot event kind of thing, like most Splatoon stuff. So I find that one to be very fun because I enjoy Salmon Run in general, and being able to like optimize it to its fullest extent is a very fun concept to me. The one tragic thing is that we only have the people I play Splatoon with. We only have 4 people in our group, which is it's the max amount for a team, but there's only 4 of us, so if one of us is like out, we don't really have a replacement. And unfortunately, one of us is almost always out. She doesn't really have time to play with us very often, because she's in school still, and she has work, and just she's swamped with stuff to do all of the time. So she doesn't really have time to play with us a lot. And one of my other friends is gonna be on vacation kind of for the weekend for, like, I think she's going to a wedding. Yeah, I think she's going to a wedding of a family member of hers, and so she's not gonna be able to play the Extra Work either. So it's just me and one other player alone, and so it'll matchmake us with like other people, because we're not allowed to have only 2 people in a team. But that does mean we'll be stuck with randos, so we can't really communicate as efficiently or effectively as we would be able to with other people on call, which is a little tragic. But we'll simply have to deal with it, I guess. I am hoping that at some point I really like playing Splatoon with these people. I mean, they're my friends, so obviously I enjoy playing video games and hanging out with my friends. But I'm hoping that at some point in the future, I may stop lollygagging and join some like Splatoon Discord servers to find some like teams to play with for fun. So that I can like be able to play with people a little more consistently, or like at the very least find other people who enjoy Salmon Run as much as I do. Because my other friends, they're like chill with Salmon Run, but they don't really like it too much. They prefer the Anarchy game modes, which are the like more specific game types, because the main game mode in Splatoon is Turf War, where you're trying to cover as much of the ground in your own team color as possible before the time runs out. And then there's Anarchy mode, which was called Ranked in Splatoon 2, where it's a little bit more competitive. You have ranks, obviously, And you know, the way that the mode functions is different from Turf War. You know, either you have an objective that is different from inking the map. Instead, you have to like get a bunch of clams into a basket to score points, or you have to get the Rainmaker, which is a specific weapon type, across the map to a specific point to be able to win, or you have to take the tower across the map, which is basically an escort mission kind of thing, which it's basically TF2 payload, but with squids. To put it simplistically, I don't really like comparing Splatoon to Team Fortress 2, but there's quite a few similarities with some of the game modes. So, you know, you can only fight it so much. But, you know, they prefer playing those game modes over salmon runs, so it'll be real fun once I finally go talk to some fellow salmon run enjoyers. No, that's not right. Yeah, I don't want to merge those. I want to merge these. There we go. Oh dear. Okay. The one good thing about rendering on stream is that I can't just go, oh, I'm bored of this, I'm gonna set it down and go play video games instead. I actually have to keep working on it, which is very useful because I do want to push through it and get these done because I want them to be finished. I enjoy the concepts and I'd like to see the finished artwork, and I am the artist, so I have to make it. And you know, it'll be nice to have some more things to post to my Instagram. I really need to drown out my old art because I don't want to delete any of it. I originally made myself a promise that I would never delete or archive any of my posts on Instagram. I left for so long that when I came back, I simply had to change my mind because some of the art was so cringe bad that I did not want it on the front page of my Instagram anymore. Like, it was just... I've had that Instagram for a while, and I've put up some, like, really old art on it. So it was just, like, kind of cheesy in a sort of childish way, which there's nothing wrong with, but I didn't like it to the point where I got rid of it. I archived a few posts. I broke the rule. It's tragic. But the rest of them are staying. So I just have to, you know, put so much of my new art in the Instagram that people can't find the old ones. I also just want to post art to my Tumblr in general, because I posted some art there, but I've mostly been reblogging stuff that I like, instead of making my own posts, which there's nothing wrong with. you know, I'm choosing to reblog things anyways. I'm having fun with it. I don't want to be stressed about my Tumblr. That's very specifically what I'm treating differently between Tumblr and Instagram, is that I'm on Tumblr to have fun, and to share the things I'm interested in with other people who are also interested in it. Consistency be damned. Who cares? So what that half of my feed, or like half of the things I reblog are cats, and the other half are cooking tutorials, and about a third of it is fandom posts, and then sometimes I post my own art. I'm having a great time, and that's what matters. But my Instagram, well, reblogging isn't really a thing on Instagram, actually. There's reposting, but that's not cool. Reblogging is more akin to the share to your story function, but it actually does anything, ever. You know, people actually look at it. And I personally think it's more useful. Like, the share to the story thing is nice and all, but it doesn't do that much. I don't think people really click into posts very often when they're shared to people's stories. I don't know, maybe that's just me though. I don't have the analytics. I don't have the data. I can't be bothered to do the research. I don't care enough. I am not invested in Instagram. But, you know, I'm still at least trying to keep my Instagram relatively clean and just art. Which I have managed to do. But, you know, I'm not like a specific fandom account or anything. You know, I don't want to chain myself to anything either. Like, oh, I'm only able to post like Splatoon content on here, or I'm only able to post like Hollow Knight or I don't know, Rain World. Because I want to make the things that make me happy, and my followers are along for the ride. Because I used to almost exclusively do like Sandersides content, which I still enjoy Sandersides, but I mean, I haven't watched an episode of that in months. Like, it was one of the things that I ended up hyperfixating on for a while, and then eventually lost interest in. So I have like a wave of Sandersides posts on my Instagram. It's like most of my Instagram currently, I'm pretty sure, and then it kind of just stopped, because I wasn't as enraptured by it. It's still a good series. I would gladly shill for it. I jest, but I also don't. Like, I would recommend people to watch it, if it's their cup of tea. But, you know, I'm not really making like fan art for it or anything anymore. It's become a background thing that I appreciate, rather than like a show that I'm really invested in at this point. So it's things like that, which is why I want to avoid being like fandom specific, because I know very well that I am very easily capable of losing interest in something, even if I've been like majorly obsessed with it for several months, even years. And sometimes I'll like be really interested in a thing and then lose interest, and then it'll show back up in my life unwillingly. And I'll be like, God damn it, I'm obsessed with it again. That happened at one point, because I used to be like really into Be More Chill back in like the 2010s. I was on the Be More Chill amino and everything. God, back when amino was like a common thing. I think it's still alive, but like, who the hell is on it at this point? Like, I was really into Be More Chill. I actually met one of a friend that, like, someone I used to be friends with online. I met through the Be More Chill amino. We didn't like leave off on bad terms or anything. We just drifted apart, that kind of thing. And so, like I was like really into it. And then it just kind of vanished from my life for like several years. I didn't think about it at all for several years. Like I completely forgot it existed. And then at one point I stumbled up, I stumbled upon either an animation someone had made, a like piece of fan art, or I had just like ended up with one of the musical songs in my playlist, because Be More Chill is a musical. Like I ended up with one of the songs in my playlist, and I proceeded to listen to nothing but the Be More Chill soundtrack for a week straight. Which is important because I listen to a lot of music daily, because I have like an hour commute by bus one way. So that's like around I mean, it's technically more like 40 minutes, like 45 minutes. So yeah, like an hour and a half, like 90 minutes, hour and a half to 2 hour commutes on bus daily, like overall every day, if not more. So I listen to a lot of music on the bus to keep myself entertained. And I listened to literally nothing but the Be More Chill playlist for a week straight. I spent the time to make my own like playlist of the musical songs, because none of the ones I found were properly in order. And I also put in the effort to take a song that only existed in, I believe, the off-Broadway version of the... I don't remember which cast was on Broadway and which cast was off Broadway, but there was the original cast, and then there was like a second casting in like the second phase of the musical's life. So there was a song that I really liked that only existed in the second, like the recast of the musical, because it like somewhat replaced an original song. So I took the time listening to the songs around it like several times, so I could figure out where exactly in the playlist of the original songs it would go, because I prefer the original cast recordings of the songs, which was an unnecessary amount of effort for Be More Chill the musical, but I did that anyways. Because I spent a week listening to nothing but the songs, so I wanted to make sure it was perfect quality. And then after that week was up, I lost interest again. So it's really a bizarre experience, I imagine, for people who like follow along with my art, because they will get one thing, and then maybe like 4 different things, and then one completely different thing out of the blue for like 2 weeks straight, or longer, maybe even a month, and then we'll go back to the original thing, and the cycle continues. Just the content I produce is so bizarrely different. Like, diversity in one's content is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're like, you know, putting your fandom interests to use to sort of bring people into your art, and then they're like, wow, I really like this person's art, and then they'll also be interested maybe in some of the original characters. It's smart to do fan art, not just because you enjoy it, but because other people enjoy it, and that can lead them to enjoy your art in general, but also only do fan art if it makes you happy. It's not fan art then. If you're not enjoying it, it's, I don't know what it would be, but I certainly would not call it fan art, because it doesn't sound like you're doing it because you're a fan, if the only reason is to bring people to your original characters. There's nothing wrong with using fan art to pull people in. Makes sense. It's logical. Just another form of search engine optimization. But it's still important to have fun with it, to enjoy it. Otherwise, why make the fan art? You know? So I try not to push myself to keep making something that I'm not interested in. Like, if I completely lose interest in something, I'm not gonna, like, go back and finish those work in progresses of the thing if I'm not having fun. Like, I'm not gonna invest myself into something that I don't enjoy, when it comes to art. So I end up bouncing around a lot of different things, and my followers get real confused sometimes. It's really funny. 'Cause they have no idea what's going on or what to expect next. It's like gambling, but without money, just your time. Just gambling people's time. And of course their emotions, because if I love anything, it is sucker punching people in the gut emotionally, with really good angst content. Because I love making characters suffer. It's just, it's so free. It's so very free. Literally my own OCs too. The freest shit ever. They are just punching bags awaiting to be just absolutely decked. And I am here to provide. I will gladly offer the service. I mean, there is a reason that I build my stories the way that I do, because I like making my characters, and by proxy me and the people who interact with my stories, suffer. Everyone gets to be in the pain pit. How fun. But for now, it has only been fan art for a little while, because I still haven't finished designing my characters, to be honest. Like, I haven't, like, properly finished any of them, really. Like, I'm getting really close with a couple. Specifically, I have two, like, big world concept things where there's, like, multiple storylines, and I'm doing a lot of world building in general for it. I have two of those, and in one of them, I've nearly got some of my characters' designs, like my main trio that I've been focusing on mostly, almost done. They're a group of assholes who are terrible people, and the point of their story is that they're gonna learn to be less terrible people. There's not gonna be some big save the world plot. It's just them going on a trip, taking a hike for a while, and maybe getting smacked around a few times by Mother Nature and people who are knocking sense into them. Because they're silly little guys who are pieces of shit, and, you know, they earned it. They put other people in danger, they have been cruel and mean, and they have earned a little bit of retribution. That's not what retribution means. Yeah, you get the point. But they've certainly earned quite a bit of pushback, and I, as the author, am here to provide that by making the little shit suffer. something morals or whatever. And then I have another set of characters, far more than 3 actually, in the other full world concept, where I'm pretty sure their designs are done at this point. Like, I'm relatively happy with their visual designs, and I think I have a grasp on their personalities. I just need to draw them. Because there's definitely a stark difference between the way I draw concept art and the way that I like do actual illustrations, because my concept art usually, now I did a stream redesigning a scarecrow character where I did like I was doing it in the format of like a character sheet, which is not usually how I do character designing. It was just easier for people to grasp visually if I did it that way instead of my normal way, because my normal way makes no goddamn sense and is very messy because I just have them in parts and pieces. I'll like draw part of a torso and then start like figuring out the details for that, and then maybe I'll add like kind of a little bit of the legs, and then I'll switch over to a completely different thing to start doing like the arms. And you know, every once in a while I'll throw in the head to be like, oh, what part of the how do I do this part of their facial structure, and then I'll like zoom in really close to be like, okay, well, what kind of eye shapes, or like their irises and pupils, or their eyebrows, or you know, what kind of like nose shape am I giving them, or like I'll do like 4 different headshots of like different angles to try and figure out how I'm drawing their hair exactly. So it's like it's a lot of messy sort of just fucking around and finding out kind of stuff. And it's not the most like, it's not like it's difficult to understand, but it isn't ideal for showing off to other people, because I'm just doing it in a way that makes sense to me, which may not necessarily make sense to other people, and also can be visually very noisy. You know, having all of this is kind of what it looks like when I'm designing a character. There's a lot of overlapping shapes. There's a lot of like sort of really messy sort of like figuring it out. It's like, oh, do I want to do this, or maybe do I want to do this? Sometimes I'll completely overlap things and just ignore what was underneath it. It works a lot better when I'm using like a lighter brush, but like you know, I'll start drawing something and they'll go, oh, well, what if it was this instead? And then I'll like erase the thing under it instead, and it'll be like really fucked up. Because I'm just trying to like figure out what I'm doing with it. And it's not easy to tell what's going on. So the way I generally design characters is very different from how I would present it on stream, which is why when I was doing the Scarecrow character, I was doing it in the format of a character sheet, which I would usually start doing after I have the like design down. Because I don't want, because it's like easier for people to be able to see the design and understand it on like a character sheet than all weird and messed up like this. Where was I going with this? Right, anyways, that's why I haven't really been able to like show off the characters yet, because I haven't done illustrations of them. And while I have the full design in my head, like I look at all of this and I am able to put together the character in pieces like Legos, or like a funny little doll, and I can in my mind's eye I can sort of dress them up into what they're supposed to look like fully, but I don't have that image drawn anywhere, so I haven't been able to show it off. I know, but I don't have proof that I know. So until I get around to actually drawing my characters, I'm not gonna be able to show them to people, because no one will know what any of this means. Oh well. Anyways, cut that. Okay, back to Marie. Where was I? Okay, the thing is, her hand feels like slightly too big, but I don't know if that's just me or if her hand is actually slightly too big. Like, it looks proportional, but also her arm looks real small. Perspective warp. That's what it is. Anyways. Wrong layer. That's the best part about having your sketch layer with the opacity lowered. Even if you used like a brush that has opacity sensitivity and isn't like completely solid like this one, just lowering the opacity of the sketch layer when you do line art can be really helpful because it makes sure that you can easily tell if you're drawing on the wrong layer, because I'm using my liner brush and I can clearly see that I can see it, and then if I go to my sketch layer, which has low opacity, it's not the same. It's a very simple trick, but it can be incredibly useful because I do not remember very well when I have switched what layer I'm on. So this has definitely helped me a lot with ensuring that I don't screw up and draw on the wrong layer for like 3 hours and then go to turn off the sketch layer and find out, oh, well, would you look at that? All of my work is attached to the sketch layer. What a travesty. Guess I'll die, you know? Like, that's just the point where you give up and go home. If you've done like the entire line art of a piece on the wrong layer. So I try my best to avoid that with simple little tricks like opacity shifting the sketch layer, and it's also just really helpful for me personally, because having like a low opacity sketch layer makes it just easier to see the lines that I'm currently doing, even while I follow along with the sketch layer, so it's like easier to draw the line art without hurting my eyes by like squinting at it for 7 years trying to figure out what I'm looking at. Speaking of, why did I never change this background color from blinding white? I need to do that more often, because I usually do that with like my drawings on phone. I'll change the background color slightly. Like, I won't make it like very colored a bunch, especially while I am actually coloring, because putting colors on different backgrounds makes them look different. It's just how the eyes process things. So I preferably keep things either white or slightly off-white while I'm coloring, but it's especially useful when doing things like line art, because I tend to be staring at the same point for a while. So it's nicer on the eyes if the thing that I'm staring at isn't blinding me. You know, isn't just a flashbang constantly. I think I'll fix that once I'm done with this. We zoom out, and it looks good. Great, cool. So we go to the background, and we unlock, and we go to Fill Bucket tool, and, no. Filter bank. Yeah, that's better. My eyes don't hurt anymore. There we go. I can see again. Okay, let's finish up this arm. That should be most of her upper body done after that. Oh my god, progress! It's so bizarre going through and like finishing up a work in progress after not ever doing that for so long. God, I heard someone outside my window and got very confused for a second because it sounded like floorboards creaking, which isn't possible because to my right is the window facing outside. We don't have floorboards out there. Is this actually... Huh. No, yeah, just the intro to that song sounded like a very popular song. I don't remember which one. Makes sense, though. Sound bites are often reused in a lot of different songs. Like different audio clips that are for use are very common to find in a variety of songs, as long as you're looking for them. I'd call that good. Yeah, I definitely... I think the next time I stream rendering will definitely have to be a little further in the future, because I haven't learned to push through the silence quite well enough yet. So this certainly is not the most viable content option, because it is very hard to keep talking. I think we make another layer for this, just because of the way that it overlaps. We may be here a while. Oh boy. Oh, wait. Stabilizer. I forgot that existed. Maybe we bring that up to 10 pixels. There we go. That's more like it. Still gonna take 7 years though. Okay. We turn off the stabilizer to finish this up. Stabilizers are so lovely. I don't know who came up with the concept for them, but they are a genius and an angel. Because I don't know what I would do if stabilizers didn't exist. Because it just, they allow you to take less time to do something that may have taken like several hours in any other instance. So it's very nice that they exist. Not sure where I'd be without stabilizers. Suffering, that's for certain. Okay. Okay, I think that's the hand mostly done. Looks pretty good to me. Now we get to add. We get to not question the direction this thumb is going. There we go. Nice. That looks good. And then we extend this slightly so that it's not like aligning with it perfectly or anything. Because we don't want perfect alignment, because that doesn't look as good in this context. And we go back to the stabilizer. And huzzah! Glove. Magical. I've completed one part of the piece. Oh god, I'm gonna be here a while. I will say though, a very important part of the artistic process is taking breaks. Giving your eyes a rest, giving your hands a rest, if applicable, giving one's back a rest. I know that, for me personally, the position that I sit in when drawing is not the best for my upper back. So, you know, like taking lots of breaks is always very important to ensure the health and safety of the artist. Making sure to stretch, get water and a snack, all that kinds of stuff. And just in general, if you're doing the same thing for like a long period of time, it's always a good idea to take a break for a second and sort of recuperate. Pause and maybe do something else, even if that something else is just staring at a wall or whatever. Or going and doing a mildly adjacent task. A bit of variety. Variety? Variety, yeah, that's a word. A bit of variety is always good for you. Okay, so that's most of the upper torso. Yeah, there's mostly just her other arm left, and then rest of the dress, legs, shoes, and her face. And I'll be done with Marie. Just Marie. There's, you know, still an entire second character to draw. Still, you know, the entirety of Callie to draw. But that's how it be. I will say, one thing that I did- oh, that's not even, is it? No, I'm not gonna be lazy about it. I'm gonna fix it. Much as I don't want to, I should. Okay, and then... try and fix this up really quick. And now I've created a tangent. Yay. Congrats me. Is there any way I can fix that? I don't think so. Yeah, no, not really. Well, that's life. Sometimes you have tangents. And you just gotta live with them. Their tits are not big enough for that. That wouldn't make any sense. They're like over here. There's no... Yeah, that looks reasonably... Okay. Anatomy. How fun. Why is that still erased? There. That's Marie's upper body done. Except, like, the, you know, face, but we don't worry about that right now. It's not important quite yet. I mean, I could do it now. There isn't really anything stopping me. Do I want to do it right now is the question. Probably not, to be honest, because the face is something I prefer to keep towards the end, especially like when I'm doing like line art stuff, especially if like the facial features overlap other lines in the drawing, like these eyes do. Like these overlap the face line. If I end up not liking it, I don't want to have to put it, or I don't want to have to like erase this and redraw that. And of course, I can put it in another layer, but I don't want to just have that other layer there for like 7 years while I do the rest of the drawing, so I will very likely wait to do her face. I say as I continue drawing her face. I find Splatoon characters to be very fun to draw because of their like unique features, like the hair and the ears and their like beak teeth and such. But also strikingly difficult. Because I think the most difficult thing to draw about like Inklings and Octolings for me would be the eye masks. Especially with Inklings because there's like connect between their eyes. And this is less so a drawing issue, but design-wise, trying to figure out interesting ways to stylize their hair while still fitting in with the like rules and conventions of how it works in universe. Because I think it's a good amount of like it's the kind of thing where it's a design concept that has enough rules to give you like a wireframe to work off of, but not so many rules that you're like locked into the same thing. Because essentially it's just either, for Inklings, it's either, you know, a tentacle thing or like a little bit, or it's chopped. And that can be stylized in a lot of different ways. They can be curled or spiked or completely shaved off entirely. And there's and it's mostly the same for Octolings too, but instead of the sort of like bottom heavy singular suction cup for the tentacle, they have a more top heavy, often curly sort of arm looking thing with multiple suction cups on the outside. And you know, the like convention of how many there can be. You know, for Inklings they can have 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then her bow is 5 and 6. Technically these break the number, but sometimes there's a little bit of breaking of canon by Nintendo, and who cares? You know, bangs have always been like questionable whether they count to the amount at all. It's always been kind of unclear if bangs count as part of the overall number or not. And considering they are able to like merge all of their like tentacles into like one mass, it doesn't really matter all that much. But you know, it's still an interesting thing to play off of, like having those specific rule sets that are like, this is what you need to do with it, and then using that as a sort of jumping off point to make interesting hairstyles and such. And you know, of course, it's perfectly okay if people ignore those rules in their entirety and do whatever the hell they want. That looks good too. I personally enjoy staying within those like hair design conventions with my own characters, because I have a couple Splatoon OCs. I think I shared one of them on my Instagram and Tumblr, being not an Inkling or an Octoling, but a Sea Bunny. But I've been creating a little character structure of like a sort of semi-storyline going on, and I quite enjoy working within the constraints of Splatoon design conventions, because I think it's rather well thought out and it leads to a lot of interesting concepts, in my humble opinion. And then, of course, you can, like, play with what you're given a lot as well, because, you know, the in-game character model, the Inkling's ears look like this. Yeah, like, with the in-game character model, their ears look like this. It's simple. It's simplistic. There's not a lot to it. Or, you know, sometimes you get something fancy and they look like that. But they're like very flat, they're not very detailed. There's not a lot like dictating what exactly is going on. So when you're drawing it in like a more complicated style, you can take a couple artistic liberties. Maybe something that is this doesn't necessarily have to be that or that. You could have it be more akin to like I don't know how I would draw dragon ears, or like bat ears, or you know, taking the like basically slightly longer oval that is an Octoling's ears, and then giving it more shape and more body to be a bit more interesting looking. Maybe a bit like a lion's ears instead of just a circle. I like being given, or I like designing characters with a simplistic rule set. Like I also appreciate designing characters with complete freedom. That's always very fun, but being given like a sort of simplistic, sometimes even vague-ish rule set that allows me to play around with it a lot, but still have like an anchor to chain to is always a fun experience because it leads to a good level of creativity where it's like, okay, so how can I do this without doing this? Because, you know, like, Y is against, like, how can I do X without doing Y? Because Y breaks the rule set that I've been given, but X would be really cool. Kind of thing. And I find that very interesting. A very enjoyable experience, if you will. Okay, what is there left to do? I need to finish off her skirt. I need to do the legs. Shoes, lower arm, or left, that's her right arm. Right arm and right hand. And then face. And hair bow. Okay. I think I can pull that off, but what I cannot do is pull that all off in 4 minutes. So, I do believe it may be time to call it, because gotten decently far, got most of Marie done. And I mean, I've been drawing these 2 characters for 3 streams at this point. And it's like 3 minutes till estimated stream end time. And it's also my dinner time. So I think we're gonna pull it here. To anyone who came by, thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate y'all being here. Having a lot of fun. And yeah, I guess happy belated Halloween, and I hope you have a wonderful day, noon, or night. Bye bye.